I'm going to show you how to deploy a PHP Slim app onto Blossom in this video. To do that, we're going to click on the documentation right here. Under documentation, there's a couple quick starts. You can see I'm looking for a PHP Slim right there. So here it says visit the Blossom quick start page. So we're going to go there and then we're going to choose a PHP Slim example and then you click deploy. So once you click on that, it takes you to the Blossom site with the quick starts. And PHP Slim is right here. Click configure and deploy. Once that happens, here's the quick start form. You can see some values are pre-filled for us. And the first value is the target cluster. So I'm going to show you that cluster I've already created for this demo. Essentially, there's a demo cluster here. It's around Hertzner. And you don't have to run a Hertzner. You can use whatever cloud you want. If you go back to docs here, it's under deploy your cloud right here. Blossom supports pretty much all the major clouds, or you could even go onto your own data center if you want to. So just use whatever cloud you want. I used Hertzner just because I'm running this demo for cheap. If you click on demo here, we're going to see I added a server. And what I did was I added a server with all the rows collapsed. So you see a load balancer and web tier all combined here. That's a really neat way to actually run your app, especially if you're on a budget. So basically you can have everything all collapsed onto one server. And the cool thing is you can pull actually multiple applications onto the same server here. So you can save money, even more money that way. But when you need to scale, what you can do is you can expand out your cluster and have separate load balancer and separate web tiers. And then if you want to really kind of dedicate resources to a specific app, then you will run a single app on a single cluster with multiple servers. So there's a lot of flexibility in how you kind of want to use Blossom here. So that explains the cluster. Next is the app name that's already pre-filled here, PHP Slim. Git repository, so it's right here. You just go to it right there. And you can see that it's saying PHP Slim tutorial and Blossom. Okay, and all it is a PHP kind of hello world app. Here's the PHP code right here. You can see it's creating an app here. It's doing a Git for hello here, but on the home page, it's actually going to render the HTML page. And then it actually supports a API here with Echo kind of, and then it runs the app down here. So that's all it really is. I do want to point out on this code base right here, you notice there is no Docker file. So even though Blossom essentially creates and builds a Docker images, it does not actually need a Docker file. It infers the language and the framework from your project, and then it figures out what it needs to do and deploys it. So let's go back to quick start here. Here's the container registry. So because Blossom builds a Docker image, it's gonna have to deploy to a registry, and here's the registry I'm using, Docker Hub. But you use whatever registry you want. You can use ECR, you use ACR, Google Container Registry, and so forth. So I just created the app there. Now here's the bouncy arrow saying click this to deploy me. So it's deploying the app now, and what you can see is the recent logs here. So under here, if you click on the logs, this is the main parent log. The main parent log is like the cluster level log that shows all the commands that are going to be executed across your cluster fleet. And since we only have one server, you're going to only see one server log here, but you're going to see kind of additional steps along the way here. But when you have multiple servers, what happens is it's going to basically execute those commands across those servers according to the role assignment. So that's how basically Blossom works. And the nice thing about this is because this is like the cluster level log, you can see it nice and clearly here. And then when you want to see more details, you click onto this log, and then you can see it gives you details about what's actually happening on that specific server. And you can see it's kind of pushing a Docker image right now. So that's pushing up now to the registry. We go back to parent app log here. That's gonna finish in briefly here. But while I'm waiting for that, I'm gonna actually show you around the dashboard a little bit just so you get know how it works. So here's the dashboard. You can see this is the logs. There's the deploy button we hit earlier. Here's the Git repo. This is where you configure your repo settings. Now, the quick start can configure a public repo, but if you need a private repo, that's not a problem. You just click on that. You click connect providers, and you connect to any of your providers you want here. It supports GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, and all those. And then you can specify your repository settings in there. Here's the registry settings that the quick start again configured for us. But you can always add more registries and link to them, because you can log into multiple registries actually as part of the deployment process. This Slim app does not have a database, so there's no link database here. But it has no environmental variables either, but this is where you could configure environmental variables. Anyway, let's go back to the dashboard and the deploy logs and see where we're at. So it built the image already, it pushed it, and then deploy the image. You can see All it really does, and this is the nice thing about Blossom, is just using Docker Compose here. So that's all you really need to understand to kind of help you understand how things kind of work underneath the hood. Then it creates a domain. What that is a short URL that's going to be accessible, allow the app to be accessible pretty much immediately once it's finished deploying. The last is the load balancer. So this is how you get access to your app. The load balancer, like I said, is flattened onto the same server, so it's going to deploy to the same server here. But deployment is done now. So you click on dashboard here, you click on view app, and you should see the PHP Slim app here. So it's just a very simple demo right here. Here's the generator. You click on that. It basically says hello world. And here's the echo service. You click on that. It's echoing that. But you can always go type test here and click echo. And here's some links to documentation and everything. But that's how easy it is to get a PHP Slim app deployed onto Blossom.